Hey there, IB art students and teachers who are looking to score well on the IB art process portfolio. If you're aiming for that elusive 7, which is very elusive on the process portfolio, you're in the right place. My name is Jessica Russo Scherr, and I have been teaching IB Visual Arts for a long time and have had a lot of success with these tips that I use with my students. And I've narrowed them down to 5 thoughtful tips to help you excel in your portfolio. Now, before I get into the top 5 tips, I also want to give you a little bit of suggestion on where to start. I have my students start out purely in their visual arts journal and just put everything possible in there. Document, document, document. And then we can scavenge it and put it in our process portfolio. And I actually call the first draft of the process portfolio the PP dump, because I want them to just pile everything in there and not worry about how it looks and the fonts and all that other stuff. And then when they get toward the end of the journey, they can curate what belongs in there and what doesn't belong in there and make it look all sorts of beautiful. I give these sketchbook guidelines for the Visual Arts Journal to help the students identify what they will need to include. Now, without further delay, here are my 5 tips based on the assessment criteria for your process portfolio. Tip number 1, conceptual clarity and depth. First things first, your portfolio needs a clear and captivating concept. Think of it as the heartbeat of your art journal. Choose a theme or idea that speaks to you, something that ignites your passion. Now, this might be something that you don't recognize till that you're at the end of your journey and say, this has been the voyage I've been on. It's been identifying these common themes throughout. Think of it as a pathway or a branch, where sometimes you might go off of the main road or the main limb of the branch, but it's still all attached to the same tree. So take some inspiration from some of the student examples. Theme doesn't have to be the same throughout, like I said, but here are some ideas for what could be a theme. You're certainly not limited to these. Pause to read. When in depth into a specific concept, you'll show your examiner that you've really delved into the heart of your artistic world, to your development as an artist. And now for tip number 2. You need to demonstrate diverse techniques and media. Variety is the spice of art. Experiment with different techniques and media to really showcase your versatility. We love how our students embrace everything from painting to sculpture to digital art. And remember, you might need to make sure that you're addressing the different types of art making forms that are required, whether you're HL or SL. Remember that process is about exploring, so don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone, and don't identify your process as step 1, I did this, step 2, I did this. Instead, talk about your journey. What was interesting for you? Why did you choose to experiment in this way? What did you discover? Tip number 3, development of ideas and iteration. Art isn't just about the final masterpiece, it's about the journey. So showcase your artistic evolution with sketches, drafts, and studies. This should be the majority of your process portfolio. Just like some of my students did here, they're tracing a path from a simple sketch through a captivating artwork. And they give you an insight into their creative journey, where they're mapping out all of their artistic, art historical influences, their experimentation, and their journey from beginning to the end. Now, you may not have enough slides or screens to do that for every artwork, but you should go in depth for a couple of your artworks so you can really emphasize that. Also, if you're using one of your exhibition works in your process portfolio, please make sure that you label it exhibition work. It must be labeled. Tip number 4, reflective practice and artistic intent. Take time to delve into the why behind your artwork. Share your thoughts, struggles, and aha moments. So connecting their inspiration, research, and artistic choices. Your reflections let the examiner inside your creative process. So How do you reflect on an artwork? Obviously, you reflect at the end, but you also reflect during the process, and that helps with your artistic decision-making. Your words matter. Articulate your intent, explain your choices, and discuss how you've grown as an artist. It's like inviting the examiner to join you on your artistic journey. Now, tip number 5, cultural and art historical context. Now, this may seem like an overlap with the comparative study, and some ways it kind of is, but you're addressing like a slightly different end of it. And if you watch my video about mastering IB art, I talk about how you can create an artwork for the exhibition that addresses your process portfolio, your comparative study, and of course, your exhibition. It's sort of a Venn diagram of things, but the assessment criteria for the process portfolio is very different than the comparative study. So I hope that's not too confusing, but basically, art is a conversation that spans generations. Position your work within this dialogue. What art history or different cultures are woven into the influences into your own creations? Don't list just a whole bunch of biographical information about the artist, like Vincent van Gogh was born to this date and he cut off his ear and blah, 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 tragic life. Instead, demonstrate your awareness of the artistic context. Mainly, this is your critical investigation of artists and artworks and how they have really influenced the development of your work, which I know is a lot like criteria for the comparative study. And while we're at it, let's talk about the assessment criteria, because all in all, you need to know this frontwards and backwards to be successful in IB art. This is all outlined here, and you can pause to read or just Google search the assessment criteria. The IB art assessment criteria for the process portfolio is your guide, and I try to synthesize it with these 5 tips. And by breaking down the IB art assessment criteria into some simple words that you can easily refer to it, I have this poster, which is also available on my website, that you just print out and put in your visual arts journal as sort of an overall quick reference guide. Now, before you submit your work for assessment, make sure that you have cited all your work properly, all the photographs are cited, and you included references wherever needed. Also, make sure that you have the correct number of slides, whether you're HL or SL. For those of you struggling to figure out a way to include all of this in a well-organized slide, I created this template, which could be used as a basic foundation for starting your process portfolio journey. And now here's a bonus on how to build critical analysis in your work. If you're really struggling for the analysis and what to write, try answering some of these questions. Now, not all questions will fit all artworks and research of process portfolios, but it will help you start the process. What's to read? And here's a big shout out to my amazing former IB art students. I miss you terribly, and thank you for all your hard work.